Ho never wanted to be a diplomat. He wanted to be a chef. He dreamed of opening a small restaurant serving spicy fish stew to old men who would complain about the weather. But life had other plans. His test scores were too good. His language skills were too sharp. And before he knew it, he was wearing a stiff suit and standing on a space station millions of kilometers from Earth. Station Orion was the largest structure humans had ever seen. It floated in the empty space between 3 star systems, built by the Galactic Council as a meeting place for all intelligent species. The station was shaped like a massive wheel, spinning slowly to create gravity. Lights of every color shone from thousands of windows. Ships of strange designs came and went like metal fish swimming through a dark ocean. Ho stood near a tall window, watching a cruiser dock at the station. The ship was beautiful. It was long and silver, with curves that reminded him of ocean waves. They built everything to look beautiful. That was their way. "Stop daydreaming," said Director Park, his boss. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had been a diplomat for 30 years and she trusted no one. "The welcome ceremony starts in 1 hour. Do you remember your role?" "Stand in the back, smile, say nothing stupid," Ho answered. "Perfect. Try not to cause an interstellar war." Ho wanted to laugh, but Director Park was not joking. Humans were new to the galactic community. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. Most alien species still saw humans as children, clumsy, emotional, and dangerously unpredictable. The welcome ceremony was held in the Grand Hall of Station Orion. The room was enormous. The ceiling was so high that clouds actually formed near the top. Representatives from 47 species stood in small groups, talking in languages that Ho's translator struggled to process. He saw the tall, thin figures of the who communicated through color changes in their skin. He saw the rock-like bodies of the who moved slowly but could live for 10,000 years. He saw creatures with too many eyes, too many legs, and shapes that made no sense to his human brain. And then he saw They were the most human-looking species in the galaxy. They stood on 2 legs, had 2 arms, and faces that were almost familiar. But they were taller than humans, with skin that had a soft purple tint. Their eyes were large and violet, like polished gems. Their hair came in shades of silver and white. They were also one of the most powerful species in the Galactic Council. Their technology was advanced, their military was strong, and their culture was ancient and complex. 3 women entered the Grand Hall together. They walked with perfect grace, their silver dresses flowing like water. Every head turned to look at them. Even they, who rarely showed emotion, seemed impressed. "Those are the daughters of the High Matriarch," whispered Bin, another junior diplomat who stood beside Ho. "The 3 sisters is the eldest, is the middle one. Myra is the youngest." Ho looked at them, had sharp features and a serious expression. She looked like someone who had never told a joke in her life, was softer, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Myra was the most energetic, looking around the room with open curiosity. "They are very important," Bin continued. "In culture, the royal family is everything. The High Matriarch rules their entire civilization. Her daughters will one day lead after her." "Why are they here?" Ho asked. "To observe, to learn, to find suitable partners maybe," Bin grinned. "Royalty always looks for strong matches, it is political." Ho shrugged. Politics was not his interest. He was thinking about food. The ceremony had been going on for 2 hours and he was hungry. The Galactic Council provided refreshments, but most of it was not safe for humans to eat. He looked at a table nearby. It held colorful cubes that might be food or might be decorations. He could not tell. "I should have eaten before coming," he muttered to himself. Bin heard him. "You should also find a girlfriend. My mother says a man who eats alone will always be sad." Ho rolled his eyes. "Your mother also said that aliens were demons. Look where we are now." Bin laughed. True, but still, when will you settle down? You are almost 30. This was a conversation Ho had heard 100 times. His mother asked, his aunts asked, his old classmates asked. Everyone wanted to know why Ho was still single. He decided to answer with a joke. "I am single," he said loudly, spreading his arms in a dramatic gesture. "Tragically, hopelessly, completely single. The universe has no one for me." Bin laughed at his performance. A few nearby human diplomats smiled. But then Ho noticed something strange. The three sisters had stopped walking. They were staring directly at him. Their violet eyes were wide. Their mouths were slightly open. The eldest spoke quickly to her sisters in their native language, covered her mouth with her hand. Myra's face lit up with excitement. Before Ho could understand what was happening, the three sisters moved toward him. They crossed the grand hall with surprising speed. Other aliens stepped aside to let them pass. Ho's heart began to beat faster. "What is happening?" he whispered to Bin. Bin's face had gone pale. "I do not know, but this is bad. This is very bad." The sisters reached Ho. Up close they were even more beautiful, and much taller, looked down at him with an expression he could not read, smiled warmly. Myra bounced on her feet like a child receiving a gift. Then, without any warning, they seized his arms, grabbed his right arm firmly, took his left arm with gentle hands. Myra wrapped herself around his left arm as well, pressing close to him. The entire grand hall went silent. Thousands of aliens stopped talking. All eyes turned to the strange scene. Director Park pushed through the crowd. Her face was white with shock. "What is the meaning of this?" she demanded. Her voice was clear and strong, designed to be heard by everyone in the room. "This human male has made the declaration. According to sacred law, we accept his invitation. He is now bound to the house of the High Matriarch." Ho's brain stopped working. "What declaration?" he asked weakly. Myra giggled. "You announced your single status publicly. In our culture, this is the most sacred form of courtship invitation. You have offered yourself, and we have accepted." Ho looked at Bin for help. His friend was backing away slowly, refusing to meet his eyes. He looked at Director Park. She was rubbing her forehead like she had a terrible headache. He looked at the three sisters who held his arms. They showed no intention of letting go. Somewhere in the crowd, a changed colors rapidly. Ho's translator interpreted it as laughter. "I was joking," Ho said desperately. "It was just a joke." Tilted her head, confused. "A joke? What is a joke?" At that moment, Ho realized that his life had become very complicated. The silence in the grand hall lasted for exactly 12 seconds. Ho knew this because he counted each one, hoping that time itself would reverse and erase his mistake. It did not. Then the chaos began. Diplomats from every species started talking at once. The noise was incredible. Some languages sounded like music. Others sounded like machines breaking. There were flashing so many colors that some humans had to look away to avoid headaches. Director Park grabbed the arm of a Galactic Council official, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms. "Explain this," she demanded. "What just happened to my diplomat?" The official looked uncomfortable. The human male made a public declaration of availability. This is a very serious matter in culture, perhaps the most serious matter. He was making a joke. Jokes do not exist in society. The official shrugged with all 4 shoulders. They take all statements as truth, especially statements about personal status. Ho tried to pull his arms free. It was useless. The sisters held him with surprising strength. Their grips were gentle but impossible to escape. "Please," he said "this is a misunderstanding. Humans say things they do not mean. It is part of our culture." Looked at him with her serious violet eyes. "You spoke words. Words have meaning. To speak without meaning is," she paused, searching for the right term, "broken, damaged, sick." He is saying he is mentally ill, Myra asked with concern. Should we call a healer? No, Ho said quickly. I am not sick, I am just human. The middle sister smiled gently at him. We have studied humans. You are a young species, only 300,000 years of civilization. It is natural that you are still learning proper behavior. Ho did not know whether to feel insulted or relieved. Director Park pushed closer. Surely there is a way to cancel this, a ceremony to undo the binding. The council official shook his head. The declaration has been witnessed by representatives of 47 species. It is recorded in the official logs of Station Orion. According to law, the only way to break the binding is if the male proves himself unworthy through the trial of rejection. What is the trial of rejection? Ho asked nervously. You must fail 3 tests of worth: physical strength, mental intelligence, and spiritual purity. If you fail all 3, the sisters may release you. This sounded like a solution. Ho was not particularly strong. He was smart, but surely he could pretend to be stupid. And spiritual purity, he had no idea what that meant, but he could probably fail it. I will take the trial, he announced. The 3 sisters looked at each other. Something passed between them, a silent communication that Ho could not understand. Very well, said. The trial of rejection will begin tomorrow. Tonight, you will stay in our quarters as our honored guest. Your quarters, Ho's voice went high. Is that appropriate? Myra laughed. You are bound to us now. Of course it is appropriate. We will have separate sleeping areas if that concerns you. Do not rush physical intimacy. This was a small comfort. The sisters finally released his arms but stayed close to him as they walked out of the grand hall. Ho looked back at Director Park. She made a gesture that clearly meant, fix this or do not come back. The quarters were in the most luxurious section of Station Orion. The rooms were large and filled with soft light. Everything was beautiful: the furniture, the decorations, even the way the air smelled like flowers. Ho was given his own room. It was bigger than his entire apartment back on Earth. The bed was soft like a cloud. The window showed a stunning view of distant stars. He sat on the bed and put his head in his hands. This cannot be happening, he said to himself. There was a knock on the door. Before he could answer, Myra entered. She was carrying a tray with strange foods. You did not eat at the ceremony, she said. I noticed. You kept looking at the food tables with sad eyes. Ho was surprised. You noticed that? I notice everything about you now. Myra set the tray down on a small table. These foods are safe for humans. I checked the database 3 times. She sat on a chair across from him, watching him with curious eyes. Up close and without her sisters, she seemed younger, more innocent. Why did you accept the declaration? Ho asked. You are royal daughters. You could have any partner in the galaxy. Myra tilted her head. Have you seen the partners available in the galaxy? I have seen many species today. Most of them are boring. Myra made a face. They only care about mathematics. They move so slowly that conversations take years. The other nobles are all the same, proper, perfect, and completely without surprise. And I am different. You said something crazy in front of thousands of beings. You made sounds with your mouth that meant nothing. You showed your teeth repeatedly. She leaned forward with excitement. What was that? The showing of teeth. Smiling, humans smile when they are happy, or nervous, or sometimes for no reason. Amazing. Myra's eyes were wide. Only show teeth when we are angry. To us, your smiling looks like constant tiny battles. Ho could not help it, he laughed. Myra jumped back in surprise. What was that sound? Laughing, it is connected to jokes. When something is funny, humans laugh. Funny, Myra repeated the word carefully. I do not understand this concept. Can you explain? Ho thought about it. How do you explain humor to someone who has never experienced it? Sometimes, he began slowly, Humans say things that are not true, but in a way that surprises the listener. The surprise creates a feeling of pleasure. We call this feeling funny, and we express it by laughing. Myra processed this information. So you lie for pleasure. It is not exactly lying. It is more like playing with words. Playing with words. Myra whispered the phrase like it was magic. I want to learn this. Will you teach me? Before Ho could answer, appeared in the doorway. Myra, leave the human alone. He needs rest before the trial. Myra pouted but obeyed her older sister. She gave Ho a small wave, a gesture she had clearly learned from studying humans, and left the room. Remained in the doorway. Her expression was as serious as ever. You want to fail the trial, she said. It was not a question. Yes, Ho admitted. This was a mistake. I do not belong with royalty. Was quiet for a moment. The trial is designed to test true worth. It cannot be fooled by pretending. Many have tried, all have failed. Then I will fail because I am truly unworthy. Perhaps, his violet eyes studied him, but I do not think so. There is something about you, human, something that my sisters and I all felt when you spoke, a brightness, a warmth. She paused. Live long lives, we see much, but we rarely feel surprise. You surprised us today. She turned to leave, then stopped. The trial will be difficult, but I hope you do not fail. Her voice was softer now, almost gentle. My sisters are right. The galaxy is very boring. You are the first interesting thing we have found in 200 years. She left, closing the door behind her. Ho lay back on the soft bed. He stared at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened. In one day, he had gone from being a nobody to being bound to 3 alien princesses. He had learned that did not understand jokes, and he had apparently made 3 ancient beings feel something they had not felt in 2 centuries. All because I said I was single, he muttered. His communicator buzzed. It was a message from Ben. The whole station is talking about you. Some species are placing bets on the trial. The current odds say you will fail, but some mathematicians calculated that you have a 12.7% chance of passing. Ho did not know if 12.7% was good or bad. Another message came through. This one was from Director Park. Whatever happens, do not embarrass Earth and stop making jokes. Ho closed his eyes. Tomorrow, he would face the trial of rejection. He would try to prove himself unworthy of 3 beautiful, powerful, ancient alien women who had never heard a joke in their lives. He had a feeling it was going to be a long day. The trial of rejection began at dawn, or what passed for dawn on Station Orion. The lights simply grew brighter, imitating a sunrise that would never come in deep space. Ho had not slept well. He kept dreaming about 3 pairs of violet eyes staring at him, asking questions he could not answer. When he woke, he found clean clothes waiting outside his door. They were in design, flowing fabric in shades of silver and blue. He put them on because his Earth suit had become wrinkled and smelled like stress. Was waiting for him in the common area. She smiled when she saw him in clothes. You look good, she said. The colors suit your skin tone. Thank you, Ho felt awkward. Where are your sisters? Preparing the trial grounds. As the middle sister, it is my duty to escort you, gestured toward the door. Are you ready? No. Laughed, then stopped herself, looking confused. I made that sound, the laughing sound. Why did I do that? Because what I said was honest in a way that surprised you. The surprise felt pleasant. Interesting, touched her throat where the sound had come from. Is this what humor does, makes new sounds come out? Sometimes. They walked through the corridors of Station Orion. Other beings stopped to stare at them. Word had spread quickly. Everyone knew about the human who had accidentally proposed to the princesses. Can I ask you something? Ho said. Of course. Why do you take the declaration so seriously? In most cultures, announcing you are single is just information, not a proposal. considered the question carefully. In ancient times, lived on a harsh world. Resources were limited. Finding a suitable partner was difficult. A public declaration was a way to announce that you were ready and worthy. It was a promise to any who heard it. Breaking that promise was considered a deep betrayal. But times have changed. You have advanced technology now. Finding partners should be easier. Technology changes quickly. Culture changes slowly, smiled sadly. We have lived for thousands of years without changing many of our traditions. Perhaps this is our weakness. They arrived at a large arena. It was filled with spectators from dozens of species. In the center stood Myra, waiting beside a Galactic Council judge, the same four-armed blue official from the day before. Director Park was in the human section of the audience. She gave Ho a look that said many things, none of them kind. The judge raised his forearms for silence. The trial of rejection will now begin. Ho of Earth, you have made a public declaration of availability. The daughters of the High Matriarch have accepted your declaration. To break this binding, you must prove yourself unworthy in 3 tests. The crowd murmured with excitement. The first test is physical strength. You must move this stone from one end of the arena to the other. A door opened, and several workers brought out a massive gray boulder. It was twice the size of Ho. It looked incredibly heavy. Ho's heart sank. He was not weak by human standards, but this was impossible. He would fail easily, which was what he wanted, right? You may begin, the judge announced. Ho walked to the boulder. He placed his hands on its rough surface and pushed. Nothing happened. He pushed harder. The boulder did not move even a little. The crowd watched in silence. Some were changing colors that probably meant amusement. Ho stepped back, breathing hard. He looked at the 3 sisters. Myra seemed worried. His face was calm but concerned, watched without expression. Then Ho noticed something. The arena floor was smooth metal, very smooth, almost slippery. An idea formed in his mind. He took off his shoes. His bare feet touched the cold metal floor. Then he walked around the boulder, studying it from every angle. "What is he doing?" someone in the crowd asked. Ho found what he was looking for, a slight unevenness at the bottom of the boulder. He lay down on the floor and positioned his back against this uneven spot. Then he used his legs to push. Physics was on his side. By using his whole body and finding the right angle, he could apply force more efficiently. The boulder began to tilt, just a little at first, then more. With a great push, Ho shifted the boulder's center of gravity. It began to roll. Once it was rolling, keeping it moving was much easier. Ho guided it across the arena, using small pushes to control its direction. The crowd was silent with shock. Ho reached the other end of the arena. He was covered in sweat and breathing heavily, but he had done it. "The first test is passed," the judge announced. The crowd erupted. Some species cheered. Others made sounds that might have been cheering in their own languages. Director Park covered her face with her hands. Myra ran to Ho. "That was amazing. How did you do that? You should not have been able to move that stone." "Humans are clever," Ho said between breaths. "We are not the strongest species, but we learn to use our brains to overcome physical limits." "Adaptation," said, approaching them. "I have read about this human trait. You change your approach when direct methods fail. We call it problem solving." Nodded slowly. There was something in her eyes that might have been respect. The judge called for the second test. Mental intelligence. You will face a logic puzzle from the ancient mathematical archives. You will have 30 minutes to solve it. A holographic display appeared before Ho. It showed a complex arrangement of shapes, numbers, and symbols. The puzzle was completely unfamiliar. Nothing in his Earth education had prepared him for this. 30 minutes passed slowly. Ho stared at the puzzle. He made guesses. He tried different approaches. Nothing worked. As the time ran out, he had to admit defeat. The second test is failed, the judge announced. Ho felt relief. One failure was all he needed to. Wait, no. The council official had said he needed to fail all 3 tests. Passing even one meant the binding would stand. He had made a mistake. By succeeding at the first test, he had actually made his situation worse. The third test is spiritual purity, the judge continued. This test examines the true nature of the soul. The human will be scanned by the oracle of. The oracle will judge whether his spirit is worthy. 2 guards brought out a strange device. It looked like a silver tree made of crystal and light. Its branches moved even though there was no wind. Place your hand on the oracle, the judge instructed. Ho looked at the strange device. What does it do exactly? It reads your inner self, your thoughts, your feelings, your deepest truths. This should be simple. Ho knew himself. He was ordinary, average, nothing special. The oracle would see this and declare him unworthy. He placed his hand on the crystal surface. The effect was immediate. Light flowed from the oracle, wrapping around Ho like a cocoon. He felt warmth spreading through his body. Images flashed through his mind, memories he had forgotten, feelings he had hidden. His grandmother teaching him to cook. His father working late to pay for his education. The first time he saw Earth from space and cried at its beauty. Every act of kindness he had ever done, however small. Every time he had made someone laugh to ease their pain. The oracle glowed brighter and brighter. The light was now visible to everyone in the arena. Then the oracle spoke. Its voice was like music and thunder combined. This being is filled with love. He carries warmth that is rare in the cold universe. His soul laughs, and that laughter is a gift. He is worthy. He is more than worthy. He is needed. The light faded. Ho stumbled backward, overwhelmed by what had just happened. The judge looked shocked. The crowd was completely silent. I have never seen the oracle react this way, whispered. Not in 2,000 years. The third test is passed, the judge announced, his voice unsteady. The trial of rejection is complete. Ho of Earth has proven worthy. The binding stands. Ho stood in the center of the arena, surrounded by thousands of alien beings, bound to 3 princesses because of a joke he had made about being single. Director Park stood up and left the arena without looking back. Myra threw her arms around Ho. I knew it. I knew you were special. Placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Welcome to our family, Ho. Even smiled, the first smile Ho had seen on her serious face. It seems the universe has decided your fate. I hope you are ready for what comes next. What comes next? Ho asked weakly. The other suitors said, once word spreads that a human has been bound to us, they will come. They will challenge you. They will try to take your place. How many suitors are we talking about? The 3 sisters exchanged looks. Currently, Myra said, about 700. Ho's legs gave out. He sat down on the arena floor and wondered if it was too late to become a chef. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. A human, a member of a young and insignificant species, had been bound to the 3 daughters of the High Matriarch. More importantly, he had passed the trial of rejection. He had made the ancient oracle glow with light. Within 3 days, Station Orion was flooded with challengers. They came from every corner of known space. Princes and warriors, scholars and merchants. Some were tall and beautiful. Others were terrifying. All of them wanted one thing, to prove themselves more worthy than the human called Ho. 700 was an old number, Myra said cheerfully, looking at a data pad. We are now at 1,243 challengers. Ho was eating breakfast, or trying to eat breakfast. His appetite had disappeared. How does this work? He asked. Do I have to fight them all? Not exactly, explained. Tradition allows challengers to demand a contest of worth. Each challenger chooses the type of contest. You must accept or surrender your binding. What if I surrender? The three sisters went quiet. Even Myra stopped smiling. If you surrender, said slowly, you admit that you are worthless. This is not just a personal shame. It reflects on everyone connected to you, your family, your species. Earth itself would be seen as a civilization that produces worthless beings. Ho understood. Surrendering was not really an option. The first challenger arrives in 1 hour, continued. His name is he has chosen a contest of endurance. There were the rock-like beings Ho had seen at the welcome ceremony. They could live for 10,000 years. They were slow, but incredibly patient and impossible to tire. Endurance against Bin said when Ho told him. That is impossible. They do not need food, water, or sleep. They can stand in one place for centuries without discomfort. I know. You will lose. Probably. The contest took place in a smaller arena. Stood on one side, a massive figure of gray stone, easily 3 times Ho's size. His eyes were like diamonds set deep in his rocky face. The contest is simple, the judge announced. Both participants will stand. The first one to move, sit, or fall loses. Ho looked at then he looked at the 3 sisters watching from the audience. They seemed worried. I accept the contest, Ho said. It began. The first hour was easy. Ho was used to standing for long periods. His job often required him to attend ceremonies and meetings that lasted for hours. The second hour was harder. His feet began to ache, his back complained. By the third hour, every muscle in his body was screaming, but he did not move. They showed no signs of discomfort. He simply stood there, as still as a mountain. The crowd watched with growing interest. Most of them expected the human to collapse within minutes. His continued standing was surprising. 4 hours passed, then 5, then 6. Ho's mind began to wander. He thought about his parents back on Earth. He thought about the restaurant he had wanted to open. He thought about the strange turn his life had taken. At the 7-hour mark, something strange happened. Ho started to laugh. It was quiet at first, just a small sound escaping from his lips. Then it grew louder. He was laughing in the middle of a contest that was slowly destroying his body. The crowd did not understand. Even the 3 sisters looked confused. Why do you laugh, human? Asked. His voice was like stones grinding together. Ho could barely breathe from laughing. Because this is absurd. I am standing in an arena on a space station, competing against a rock to win the right to date 3 alien women. A week ago, I was worried about paying rent. Was silent for a long moment. Then he made a sound, a deep rumbling that shook the floor. He was laughing too. In 4,000 years, said, no one has ever made me laugh. This is a new experience. He sat down heavily on the floor. I withdraw my challenge. This human is more interesting alive than defeated. The crowd exploded with noise. The judge declared Ho the winner. Myra ran to Ho as his legs finally collapsed. You won. You actually won. How did you do that? I have no idea, Ho admitted. The second challenger came the next day. A mathematician named Hex wanted a contest of calculation. Ho was certain he would lose. They were famous for their mathematical abilities. But Hex made a mistake. He challenged Ho to calculate the fastest route between 3 star systems, accounting for gravity wells and fuel consumption. This was not pure mathematics. This was applied math, the kind humans used every day for space travel. Ho had studied navigation systems during his diplomatic training. It was boring, and he had hated every minute of it, but now that knowledge saved him. He solved the problem in 15 minutes. Hex took 20 minutes and made an error that added 2 days to his route. 2 down, over 1,000 to go. The challenges continued for weeks. Some Ho won through cleverness. Some he won through luck. Some he won because his opponents underestimated him so badly that they made foolish mistakes. But not all victories were easy. The most difficult challenger was a warrior named. He was from a rival noble house, and he wanted the sisters for political power. He chose a contest of combat. "You will die," Bin said flatly. "Warriors train for 100 years. They are faster and stronger than any human." The sisters were worried too. Even, who rarely showed emotion, seemed concerned. "You can refuse," said gently. "We will find another way." "If I refuse, Earth loses honor," Ho replied, "and you lose the right to choose your own lives." "Your life is worth more than our choices," said. Ho looked at her, at all of them. In the weeks they had spent together, something had changed. They were no longer strangers bound by accident. They had become friends. "I will fight," he said, "but I will do it my way." The combat arena was filled with more spectators than ever before. Everyone wanted to see if the miracle human would finally fall. Was tall and beautiful like all, but there was cruelty in his eyes. He wanted more than victory. He wanted to humiliate. "Are you ready to die, little human?" asked as they faced each other. "I was born ready," Ho replied. "Also, I had a really good breakfast. You would not believe how good Earth eggs are." Attacked with blinding speed, his fist flew toward Ho's face. Ho did not try to block. He dropped to the ground, letting the punch pass over him. Then he rolled to the side and stood up. Attacked again, and again. Each time, Ho dodged or moved or fell down before the blow could land. The crowd began to murmur. This was not fighting, this was running away. "Coward," shouted, "stand and fight like a warrior." "Why would I do that?" Ho asked. "You are bigger, stronger, and faster than me. Fighting like a warrior would be stupid." "Then how do you plan to win?" Ho smiled. "I plan to be annoying." For the next hour, Ho did not throw a single punch. He ran, he dodged, he made jokes, he asked questions about his childhood, he complimented his fighting style, he wondered aloud what his mother was like. Grew angrier and angrier. His attacks became wild and unfocused. He was wasting energy trying to catch a human who refused to be caught. Finally made a mistake. He threw a powerful kick and lost his balance for just a moment. Ho moved. He had been waiting for this exact moment. He swept supporting leg out from under him. The warrior crashed to the ground. Before he could rise, Ho sat on his chest. "I win," Ho said. The arena was completely silent. "The human is the victor," the judge announced, "is defeated." The silence broke into chaos. Species that had bet against Ho were devastated. Others celebrated. There were flashing colors so rapidly that several people felt sick. Looked up at the human sitting on his chest. His eyes were wide with disbelief. "How?" he whispered. "I trained for 100 years." "You trained to fight warriors," Ho said. "I trained to survive. Humans have been doing that for 300,000 years. We are very good at it." He stood up and offered his hand too. After a long moment, the warrior took it. "You are strange," said, "but you are not without honor." In the audience, the three sisters were crying. Ho had never seen cry before. Their tears were silver like liquid metal. He walked toward them, exhausted but alive. "How many challengers are left?" he asked. Myra checked her data pad. 0, the rest have all withdrawn. "Why?" "Because," said her voice thick with emotion, "they finally understand something that we understood from the beginning. You are not unworthy. You are exactly what the galaxy needs. Something new, something unexpected, something that cannot be defeated by strength or intelligence alone." She took his hand in hers. "You are human, and that is enough." The High Matriarch arrived at Station Orion 3 days after the last challenger. Her ship was the largest vessel Ho had ever seen, a floating palace of silver and crystal that blocked out the stars. All activity on the station stopped. Every species, from the smallest trader to the most powerful ambassador, waited to see what would happen next. Ho stood in the docking bay with the three sisters. For the first time, they looked nervous. "Our mother is," Myra searched for words, "traditional." "Very traditional," added. "She has never approved of anything we have done in our entire lives," finished. "How old are you?" Ho asked. "I am 412, said. "Is 387. Myra is 351. Ho processed this information. "Your mother has disapproved of you for hundreds of years." "Yes. Continuously. Every single day." The docking bay doors opened. A procession of guards entered first, their silver armor shining under the station lights. Then came advisors, servants, and officials. Finally, the High Matriarch herself appeared. She was tall, even by standards. Her silver hair was arranged in a complex style that must have taken hours to create. Her robes were pure white, flowing around her like clouds. Her violet eyes were sharp and cold, missing nothing. She looked at Ho. Ho looked at her. Neither spoke. "Mother," said, stepping forward, "this is Ho of Earth. He has proven his worth through the trial of rejection and defeated 1,243 challengers." The High Matriarch remained silent. "He passed the test of the Oracle," added. "The Oracle said he was needed." Still silence. "He is very funny," Myra offered weakly. "He taught me to laugh." The High Matriarch finally spoke. Her voice was like ice wrapped in silk. "My daughters have bound themselves to an alien from a primitive species because he made a meaningless noise with his mouth. This alien has turned the sacred traditions of our people into a spectacle for the entire galaxy, and I am expected to accept this." Ho decided to speak. "Your Majesty, I understand your concerns." "You understand nothing, human. You are a child of a child species. Your entire civilization is a single breath in the lifetime of. You have no right to speak to me. You have no right to stand beside my daughters. You have no right to exist in my presence." The docking bay was completely silent. Everyone waited for Ho to break, to apologize, to surrender. Instead, he did something no one expected. He laughed. It was not a nervous laugh or a scared laugh. It was a genuine, deep laugh that came from somewhere real inside him. The High Matriarch's eyes widened. "You dare to laugh at me?" "No, Your Majesty," Ho said, catching his breath. "I am laughing at the situation. You are absolutely right. I'm a child from a child species. I have no right to any of this. A month ago, I was worried about my job and my rent, and whether I would ever find someone who wanted to share my life. Now I am standing in front of the most powerful woman in the galaxy, wearing borrowed clothes, hoping she will not have me executed." He took a step forward. The guards tensed, but the High Matriarch raised a hand to stop them. "I did not choose this," Ho continued. "I made a joke, a simple joke about being single, but your daughters chose to accept it. They chose me, and every day since then they have continued to choose me. The question is not whether I deserve them. The question is whether you trust your own daughters." The High Matriarch stared at him for a long moment. "Humans truly do not know fear," she said. "Or perhaps you are simply too foolish to recognize danger." "It is probably both," Ho admitted. Something changed in the High Matriarch's face. It was subtle, just a tiny shift around her eyes and mouth. But Ho had spent weeks learning to read expressions. He knew what that shift meant. She was trying not to smile. "The Oracle said you were needed," the High Matriarch said slowly. "I have never questioned the Oracle. I will not begin now." She looked at her three daughters. "You have made your choice. I will not oppose it, but know this, he is your responsibility. If he causes problems it will be your burden to bear." Myra let out a squeal of joy and hugged Ho so hard he could not breathe, wiped silver tears from her eyes. Even serious face cracked into a smile. "There will be a formal ceremony," the High Matriarch announced. The entire galaxy will witness. We will show them that embraces change, even when that change comes from an unexpected direction. She began to walk away, then stopped and looked back at Ho. "Teach me," she said quietly. "Teach you what, Your Majesty?" "The laughing, the jokes. My daughters have experienced something I have never understood. I want to understand." Ho nodded. "It would be my honor." The High Matriarch nodded once and left with her procession. The formal ceremony took place 1 week later. It was held in the Grand Hall of Station Orion, the same place where Ho had made his fateful joke. Representatives from every species in the Galactic Council attended. Director Park stood with the human delegation. She still looked exhausted, but there was something else in her eyes now. Pride, maybe, or at least acceptance. "You know, this changes everything," she said to Ho before the ceremony began. "Earth is now connected to one of the most powerful houses in the galaxy. Our status has changed completely." "I just wanted to open a restaurant," Ho said. "You still can. Just now it will probably be the most famous restaurant in known space." Ho thought about this. It was not the worst outcome. The ceremony was beautiful and strange. Traditions mixed with human customs. Ho wore clothes that were half Earth-style suit and half flowing robes. The three sisters wore white dresses that seemed to be made of pure light. When the binding was officially recognized, the crowd made sounds of celebration in 100 different languages. The flashed colors that meant joy. The rumbled so deeply that the floor shook. Even some of the stranger species found ways to express happiness. That night there was a feast. Ho sat between and Myra with across from him. Food from a dozen worlds covered the tables. Music played, a strange mix of classical sounds and earth jazz. "Are you happy?" asked him. Ho looked at the three women who had become so important to him. He thought about everything that had happened, the confusion, the fear, the challenges, the victories. He thought about how much he had learned and how much he had changed. "Yes," he said honestly, "I am happy." "Even though this was not your choice?" asked. "The best things in life rarely are," Ho replied. "Sometimes the universe knows what we need better than we do." Myra grabbed his arm. "Teach us more jokes. I want to understand all of human humor." "That might take a few hundred years." "Good thing we have the time." Later that evening, Ho stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the stars. The vastness of space spread before him, countless suns, countless worlds, countless possibilities. Ben found him there. "The whole galaxy is talking about you," his friend said. "You are the most famous human who has ever lived." "I was just trying to be funny." "And you changed history." Ben shook his head in wonder. Only humans would accidentally start an interstellar romance with a joke. Ho smiled. "Maybe that is our gift. We do not take anything too seriously. We find laughter in the strangest places. We make connections that should not be possible." "Is that what the Oracle meant when it said you were needed?" "Maybe." Ho looked up at the stars. "The galaxy is old and serious and full of rules. Maybe it needed someone to remind it that life does not always have to make sense, that sometimes the best things happen by accident, that a joke can be just as powerful as a treaty." The three sisters joined them on the balcony. They stood beside Ho, looking out at the same stars, connected by a bond that had started with words and grown into something much deeper. "What happens now?" Myra asked. "Now we live," Ho said. "We learn from each other, we face whatever challenges come, and most importantly—" "Yes," prompted. Ho grinned. "We keep laughing. No matter what happens, we keep laughing." Put her arm around him, took his hand. Myra rested her head on his shoulder. Somewhere in the distance, a mathematician was calculating the probability of everything that had happened. The numbers made no sense. They logic and statistics. But that was the thing about humans, Ho knew. They had a way of making the impossible happen. All it took was a joke.